Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today, I'm going to be talking about a common, very common misinterpretation a lot of children have, especially if you're highly sensitive or especially if you're coming from a toxic home, that keeps us small and makes us think that's safe. Why does this happen? It happens to most people on some level, by the way. Why does it happen? How to shift this perception and this misinterpretation to work for you so now you can actually feel safe in your shine. Watch this video. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. If you're new, please click the little subscribe button, the bell to receive new videos when I release them. And if you've been with me for a while, thank you so much and welcome back. I want to talk about a really popular subject the last couple of weeks in my work. And this comes about for a lot of people on different scales, but specifically if you're highly sensitive, or if you grew up in a narcissistic home or a toxic home or an emotionally invalidating home, this is happening to you. So often I see so many of my clients with coping mechanisms that they think they still have so that they can stay safe. And as we start to unravel the coping mechanism, because right now what happens in adulthood is the coping mechanism we had in childhood to keep us safe from, let's be real, our own power. Because when we're in our power as children and we have a narcissistic and are emotionally unavailable or a neglectful parent, or sibling even, what happens when we're in that environment is we learn that being in our power and owning our needs gets us unsafe, gets us rejected, gets us in survival mode. I had one client that told me this week when she wouldn't agree with her mother, when her truth didn't agree with her mother's truth, her mother would put her outside in the snow for hours. So she decided, if I own my truth, I won't survive. I had another client last week that said, if I own my boldness, I will be kicked out. So anytime she would be bold about an opinion, she would get kicked out, ostracized, wouldn't belong. Survival need. I had another client this afternoon saying, if I own the fact that I'm of value, people get jealous of me and then I'm alone. So it's kind of the same message in 3 different ways, and there's a million different ways. But the message is, it's safer to stay small, because then there won't be criticism, then there won't be a survival mode, then you won't be alone. And most people think, if I'm alone, then I'm going to die. I mean, it's that big when it's a trauma. So to stay out of this sort of lane of rejection and abandonment and having something taken from you, having your power taken from you, we learn to do that to ourselves by keeping ourselves small. We're so afraid that, I used to say when I was younger, at certain times that I would go through things, I would feel like I'm getting myself taken from me. Like it was a teacher, whoever, when they don't validate your needs or your truth, you feel like you're being taken from you because the adult in that situation is there to mirror your truth. When they start to not mirror and take it from you, you feel powerless to your own power being taken. So what we learn to do is to take our power away from ourselves, sabotage ourselves, abandon ourselves, keep ourselves small so that we stay safe. So I want to tell you one of the biggest reframes I've been doing all week this week with people. What we don't realize when we're children is those people that did that to you are actually toxic. They're not most people. And when we think when we're children, if it's a teacher or a parent, that's authority, that's God. That's how the universe is. If something bad happens to me, oh my God, what did I do wrong, right? That the self-blame component in there. Everything bad is because of me. Or if something bad happens, why is God punishing me? Did I do something wrong? I better stay small so I don't get punished, right? So the reframe is, these people were actually toxic people. Anyone who's going to take your power away from you, going to punish you in a negative way, going to put you out in the snow when you're 5 and it's cold, going to do these things to you, punish you for having an opinion, a truth, an emotion, a trauma, that person is an unhealed person. So in a way, that person is wounded and or toxic, right? So the reframe that I got to say for those 3 people, actually in my, just today, is number 1, if I own my truth, I won't survive, right? She got kicked out in the snow. The new reframe is, if I own my truth, I won't Hers was, if I own my truth, I'll be abandoned by the people I need the most. Now I'm saying, if I own my truth, I'll be abandoned by toxic people. What happens is this one woman who had this story has her own business. She's really successful, but she says, I keep bumping up against people that when I tell them the truth, they leave. And I said, that's because your emotional imprint is when I tell my truth, the people who I need to survive, they're paying my bills, mom, housing me, the people who I need to survive are going to abandon me and then I'm not safe and I can't survive. The new truth is to change your own imprint, to change your own neural pathways. If I say my truth, toxic people will reject me. Toxic clients. So then you know, oh my gosh, I don't have to own the fact that these people are all rejecting me because I'm being in my truth. I should get rid of my truth and abandon my truth. Instead, you get to say, oh, these people who aren't liking my truth aren't right for my business. They're toxic people or they're just not a fit, instead of it's me and I have to change myself, right? Which each client, it was the same thing. Instead of saying, if I'm in my power, people will be jealous of me. If you're in your power, wounded people will be jealous of you. Not all people, right? All the relief on these people's faces was like, oh my God, is it okay that I reframe it like that? Yeah, you have to. What was my third client? Oh, if I'm bold and I say what I want, I'll be ostracized. Well, if you're bold and you say what you want and people are not in their own security, they're actually insecure, you will be. So you have to look at the person, not you. Anyone who makes us feel bad about ourselves, like we shouldn't shine, like we shouldn't own our opinions, we shouldn't have our strong will, that we shouldn't stand up for our needs, those people are toxic people. It means that they have not owned their own power and they get intimidated and threatened by you owning it because it reminds them of how they've already abandoned themselves. Take that in. If you have a parent, say, or even a relationship with someone who is not in their power, who has sort of signed over their own truth to fit some box, okay? They're not being who they truly are. And you come in and you're being bold with who you truly are. They can't handle it because it reminds them of the part of them that they weren't strong enough to own. And it feels like this gaping hole of shit. How does that person get to do it and I didn't? And they start hurting and self-blaming. And they can't do that. And people who don't take personal responsibility cannot self-blame. They must project the shame. That's called toxic shame. So this video is really important because it's not about I should stay small to be safe. I have to stay small to be safe around toxic or unhealed people, right? Let's reframe that. To stay small is actually hurting you. It's hurting the world. You came here with a very specific purpose. Some people can't even find that purpose because they're so busy staying in their upper limits issue and their little boxes that they won't even explore who they truly are to see their purpose because they think it's safer to stay here for one specific reason: uncertainty. If we were to be free to be who we are, what the heck does that look like? I had one client today who said, well, that's scary because I've never felt free. And I said, okay, what's actually scary about freedom? She said, well, the unknown. I mean, I know what this feels like. At least I know what to expect. Uncertainty is such an issue, isn't it? So I told her my story, and I said, well, I used to do that too. I'd run back to the safety net. And every time I'd run back to the safety net, I'd be mad at myself because I really just wanted to grow and shine, and I felt like a loser. Sorry, but after a while, you feel like a loser because you don't just take the risk to be you. And I said, as soon as I took the risk over and over again to be me, I came into this freedom. And what it means by freedom, in my opinion, is we get to be free of giving a shit about the opinions of others because we know who we are. We can't see who we are if we're in this little box. We have to expand and explore and be willing to be wrong and make mistakes to be free. One of the things I love about teaching authenticity is as soon as you learn all your parts, you can't be hurt because you already know it. But if you're staying in a little box, you're not really sure of yourself. If someone says to you, you shouldn't wear that, you'd be like, oh my God, maybe I shouldn't. If someone told me you shouldn't wear the color blue, I don't like it, I'd be like, thanks for your opinion, but I actually know it looks good on me. Right? Something like that. It's just the way you see it. If someone were to say to me, I don't like that video you did, blah, 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 I'd say, well, thank you for your opinion. I actually think that it might serve someone. I felt called to do it. But if I were insecure, I'd be like, oh, you don't? Maybe I should delete it. Maybe that's bad. You know, I had a client last week tell me that she freaks out every time she posts on Instagram. And she's like, how do you just post and not like really think about it? I go, because I'm saying something that's true to my heart. that I've walked in the steps of and I know works for me. If it doesn't work for other people or everyone, it doesn't matter. It worked for me. It may work for someone else. And we have to stand in the confidence of, I've walked this talk. Wisdom is different than intelligence. Wisdom is, I've embodied this experience. This is really real for me. If it's real for me, it's valid to be shared. If it's an idea for me and I'm not sure of it and I have doubt, you're going to worry and shake and be like, are people liking me? It's a different place to come from. Staying small makes us unfree, which means I'm insecure. I don't know. I'm safe in my box, but I'm really unsure of going outside that box or growing at all. Busting out of that smallness to be free means I'm free because I know me, I love me, I'm not afraid of me, and I just get to be free me. We're all so afraid to be free because as children, when we were just being who we were yelled at or we were this, right? And misinterpretations are huge when we're children. We think, oh, I did something wrong, there's something wrong with me, right? We have to upgrade these things. We have to understand that staying in that small little box is serving no one, especially you. When you look in the mirror in the morning, you have to realize it's not personal. God made this for you. You might as well honor it because it's God's. It's the universe. You are an expression of the universe, not your personality, the universe. And if you don't express your piece of the universe, what are you doing? So those of you looking for your purpose, who are actually staying small, you're only going to find your purpose when you start to risk to be seen when you're most uncomfortable. I'll leave you with this. I had one client that told me a little bit ago that she's in college and she would raise her hand. She felt like she was talking too much. She got really scared because as a child, when she would talk too much, people would say, you're so selfish. You're just, they get mad at her. She was Candace, literally I ask questions 70% of the time. I feel bad. And she goes, the other day, I was getting all the answers I wanted because I was asking. But then I started thinking, projecting, that everyone hates me because I'm a big mouth and blah, blah, blah. I go, well, were they actually doing that or was that your programming? Because I'm going to guarantee they're probably looking at you as an example of how maybe they can step up and ask their questions. And if you own the fact that you ask all these questions and you're learning and you're thriving and you're happy about it, they probably have the permission to do the same thing. But if you start to shudder and say, uh-oh, I'm shameful because I ask all the questions, then they're not going to have the permission slip to ask questions either. We have to be the change by being the example, my love. So, longer video than usual. I hope you enjoyed that. I want to let you know that my Boundaries Bootcamp course is coming up soon. The waitlist is below. Coaching links are below. If you like this video, please share with one person. Please be sure to subscribe and share if you haven't already. I love you guys, and I hope you have a great week.